everyone. This is Heather Eggleston. Welcome back to the Deep End. I know it has been quite a while. I am sorry for the delay, but I was awfully busy. I was busy with a play that I did. I do some acting as well, so it was kind of cool to take that time to make some art that I felt like really mattered. I am back, and this will be a bonus episode on homeopathic philosophy, energeia in homeopathy. We'll jump right in here. Energeia in homeopathic philosophy. So this is my territory. I trained in classical homeopathy, which is quite different than those little pills that you buy at the drugstore labeled for acne or whatever, random ailment. We'll save that discussion for a different time, perhaps. But homeopathy is arguably the descendant of Western alchemy in that it utilizes principles from Paracelsus and the other alchemists in its core philosophy. It was codified by Dr. Samuel Hahnemann in the Organon of Medicine in 1810. He'd been working on it for quite a long time, and there are many editions, but again, that is maybe a little bit too into the weeds for today. Dr. Hahnemann was a translator of medical texts, and he stumbled upon the concept of like curing like through experiments that he did on himself. His big aha moment was that small to infinitesimal amounts of poisons can cure the symptoms that they create in larger amounts. So, for example, China or cinchona bark could create in very small amounts and cure in small amounts the same symptoms that malaria would give, like vomiting and diarrhea and so on and so forth. So he stumbled upon this. In some point, I may go deeper into homeopathic philosophy on this pod, but for now I just want to focus on the homeopathic concept of energy itself. Vital force, which is dynamis in Latin, is the homeopathic term most closely aligned with our English usage of energy. In homeopathy, the vital force is the dynamic, which means, again, in motion, the dynamic power that keeps an organism alive and cohesive. It maintains the Aristotelian being at work of energeia. It's not intelligent. It should not be mistaken for soul in any sense of the term as it's popularly used. The vital force does its best to maintain homeostasis, which is balance in the body. This includes every aspect of the human being, from how often and how much you poop to your deepest fears and your hidden desires. In vitalistic thought, health is not simply a functioning body, but a life in which the mind, the emotions, body, dreams, desires, impulses, and purpose, they all sing the same song. So Dr. Hahnemann, used the somewhat poetic language of mistunement in the vital force to describe disease processes. If the vital force is appropriately tuned, then the individual has a happy, healthy body, mind, and emotional life. If, however, the vital force is out of tune, then symptoms appear throughout the individual's entire life. So each symptom in the person points to the same core mistunement. Mistunement can be inherited genetically from contagions. It's often transmitted sexually, and it can be based on environmental factors. But once the vital force is out of harmony, it can be really difficult to get it back in tune. Vitholkas, who's a contemporary homeopath from Greece, suggests that only acupuncture, homeopathy, and certain very rare forms of energy or spiritual healing can work on the level of the vital force to retune it. Everything else he suggests is a potentially suppressive, temporary fix like a Band-Aid. The classically trained homeopath observes the symptoms in the client to gather a picture of the totality of their case, which then will point to just one remedy. And that remedy is the tuning fork that brings the out-of-tune vital force back into its own perfect pitch, whatever that looks like in the individual. This remedy, the one that best matches every single symptom in the individual, is then given in the smallest possible amount to affect change. Now, each remedy, and right now we have about 3,000 different remedies, although there are maybe 30 to 40 major ones that most people fall into. Each remedy has a very different picture, so there is a predictable pattern of healing if you know what you're looking for. The goal of homeopathic treatment is to retune the vital force, which frees the individual to their purpose. All right, so within this framework, we see echoes of Aristotelian energeia and ousia. As you may recall, I know it's been a while, energeia is the being at work. It is being and the cohesiveness needed to keep that being together. It is existence maintaining itself. It is being maintaining itself. Ousia, or essence, is the perceivable aspects, the observable qualities of energeia. So the symptoms that the homeopath observes are essence, ousia, rather than being, energeia. Essence, as exhibited through the symptoms, shows the nature of the mistunement and points to the best remedy to harmonize the vital force. So recall that in Aristotelian thought, each energeia has a purpose, its teleology. In classical homeopathy, matches the essence, those observable symptoms of the individual, and her remedy to stimulate a deep, authentic healing process, which then allows the organism to achieve its unique purpose and to harmonize with Hahnemann's grand metaphor, sing their own song. Vital force, dynamis, as energeia, and symptoms as ousia fit definitionally into the Aristotelian model of metaphysics. This should not be too surprising, as classical homeopathy was arguably born out of the Western alchemical tradition, which drew heavily on classical scholarship. But perhaps that is for another day. So thank you for joining me again on the deep end and to this deep dive into the concept of vital force in homeopathy. We could go on and on and on with that, and I won't. I just wanted to touch on it because it is such an important transition into the vitalistic philosophy as exhibited in the West. And so it's interesting to kind of look at how Aristotelian thought manifested itself in what is a practical approach toward healing. Now, we can look at some other point perhaps as to the efficacy of homeopathic thought. Does it actually work? And maybe we can do a deep dive into that, and also into what the criteria for does something work actually should be, meaning do we have to look at double blind, and does something like classical homeopathy actually fit into the double blind model of scientific method? But that is absolutely for another day. So again, thank you for joining me at the deep end, and I will see you next time.